What up, YouTube? It's Matty B. Welcome back to the channel, and as always, thank y'all for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Coming to you a little bit late, my apologies. I spent the whole weekend at a Loretta Lynn's area qualifier where I saw some great racing Saturday and Sunday. Hell, I probably still have a dirt stash from it, no choice. But speaking of great racing, Philly Supercross was awesome, as has been the entire season. And I don't even know where to start on the 250 class. We had so much stuff going down. A rookie continuing to emerge as a star in Supercross. 250 East continues to tighten up and flip-flop in different ways. And then, of course, we got the Webb-Sexton matchup in the 450 class down the stretch for this championship. Mano a mano, gonna be a good one. But before I get too much further into today's video, gotta thank the supporters of the channel. Huge thank you to quickmoto.com and SiriusStudio.co. I have both my discount codes on screen. And also you can enter for a chance to win my YZ250, my 2022 Pro National race bike for just $100. All the info you need is right here. And lastly, I got a new partnership with my boy AJ, who is a crypto legend, and he's doing a Tesla Model 3 giveaway. So a cool opportunity to win a car, and the dude just did interviews with Joe Exotic and Dana White, so I don't know what he's doing reaching out to me, but I really appreciate it. Check him out on YouTube, Instagram, and X at AJ Writes Crypto, and you can use this QR code to go directly to entering the giveaway. Hope y'all enjoy the video. First off, some thoughts on the track. These guys are so good at averting disaster whenever it rains. They get it all tarped up, cover it, then uncover on race day. Transitions are a little soft, but they work them in throughout the day, and it turns out so much better than it should be. As long as it's not pouring rain during the race, it always manages to be super raceable. And this past weekend was no different. Really, for all the rain they got, I feel like even the transitions weren't that bad. But I thought it was a great racetrack. They had a revised layout, which I actually thought was a little bit better because they had some long rhythm lanes, a lot of 180 turns, and those are both good for racing. And going into the weekend, one thing I didn't like is they put the whoops in front of the jump rather than the jump in front of the whoops, how it was on the original map. I really don't like that. I like to see people be able to send it and use entry speed to their advantage in the whoops, but I really did enjoy the way they did it this week, where how you got through the whoops really dictated whether you could jump the obstacle right afterwards or not. So I'm a big fan of that setup. I hope to see it at future rounds. And it's just cool to see a make or break section like that where really the absolute best in the world can't even jump at every lap. But now into the results. We'll start with the 250 East-West Showdown. With the win, the Kiwi, Cole Davies, I'll just go ahead and say it. He's by far the best Supercross rider in the class. Yes, Deegan was running him down at the end, but I really feel like that's more due to Deegan's fitness and killer instinct at the end of the race. But Davies, smooth as silk, went through all the top guys on both coasts, and he wasn't even supposed to be racing Supercross this year. SMX Next is long in his rear view, and it was supposed to be in his contract. But the kid is unbelievable. I really think, barring injury or anything disastrous, he's a Supercross champion by next year. And I really see him going all the way and being a superstar in the 450 class. Call me crazy, but I think he's got what it takes to challenge Jet, Sexton, Webb, and all those top guys in the 450 class whenever he moves up. I might be getting ahead of myself, but the kid's special. And then in second, his teammate, Hayden Deegan. And I heard him say in the press conference he thought there was 5 minutes left, so he was kind of saying maybe that's why he got beat. But really, I feel like Davies, for most of the race, was the better guy. But towards the end, Deegan puts on those afterburners. He gets that killer instinct. He wants to win. I feel like pretty much more than anybody out there. And he just couldn't quite cut the mustard to get it done, but still a solid second place and a solid points night. He's got a 17-point lead on Davies now, and they both pulled clear of two Jews. Then here's where it really gets juicy. On to the East Coast guys. In third place, RJ Hampshire. And wow, did my guy get a lifeline. He was down on the deck in the first turn and then got the red flag a couple laps in. Whole shots to restart, so it was definitely a clutch hole shot there. And I feel like RJ doesn't quite look like the guy he was last year, but he is dealing with a bum wrist that he came in with, and I don't think it's doing great still. But lands himself on the box, and just like that, he's got himself into a tie for the points lead in the 250 East class with Seth Hamaker, your fourth place finisher. And I'm a little bit bummed. I feel like Seth had the opportunity to take off with that first one before the restart, although he did have Cole Davies right behind him. And really, everybody in the East class has made mistakes, so it's really easy to say woulda, shoulda, coulda. You know, if they didn't make that mistake, but they've all done it. And I feel like Seth has a lot of things that weren't really his fault away from really having taken off with this East Series. He had the food poisoning at round 2, got taken out by RJ on the start last week, and then this week the red flag, but he had every opportunity to still make it happen after the red flag and just didn't quite have it this week, but still fourth and tied for the points lead. And I'm rooting for Seth so hard. This is such a good kid. Humble beginnings, and it would be such an awesome story if he wins this championship. Then a quiet fifth for Joe Shimoda. I really wonder where his season could have gone had he not been whacked by a pit board, but Sometimes you'll have that on those bigger jobs, but still solid fifth with both coasts. Then in sixth, Tom Vial. I feel like he's lucky to avoid injury because that heat race crash could have been a lot worse. He definitely faced into the side of the landing of that jump. He got it done through the LCQ, and he was another benefactor on that red flag. I think he was way back before the restart, but he made it happen whenever it counted. Got back up to sixth. Not the best night for him, especially after last weekend getting 22nd, but he's still right there, only 2 points down, and he's won plenty of championships before. He knows the deal. And this one's a total toss-up between Hammaker, Hampshire, and Vial. I cannot wait to see how this one ends up down the stretch. Then rounding out the top 10, you have Marchbanks, Voland, Jordan Smith, and Chance Hymas. 12th for two Jews, Julian Beaumer, and now he finds himself a whopping 26 points down, so the next round, he could win it, Deegan DNFs it, and he still doesn't have the points lead. So a little bit of a bummer to see him fall off from his early season form, but I do know he has the bum shoulder that he's been dealing with. And these showdowns, being at Indy and Philly with all these ruts, I kind of had a feeling that might hurt him because he's a West Coast guy, but it's still been an awesome season for him, better than I expected for sure. And then I want to throw a get well soon to 22nd place, Daxton Bennick. I think this is his second concussion in a month or two, so that can be scary. Really hope you get better and get healed up and are good to go by the time you get back to riding. A couple years ago, actually had a couple hits to the head. I think it was a month or so apart, and I feel like I'd never quite been the same on the bike ever since then. I feel like there was a switch in my brain that I used to be able to turn off and send it, and I have never been able to do that since, so maybe that's a good thing. I don't know, but prayers up to Dax Bennick. Now into the 450 class with the win, Chase Sexton, and that was a clutch performance there. Both he and second place Cooper Webb buried off the start, had to make their way through the pack, and that was a tricky track. That was one where you can maybe see the possibility of it reaching up and grabbing Chase, but he was rock solid, put the bike exactly where he wanted it, and looked great all main event, brought home the win, and now he has the points gap down to 12. So this one's far from over. The only thing that's going against Chase is he doesn't really have any room for error. He's kind of got to be perfect or at least close to it down the stretch because Coop already has that points buffer. But either way, it ain't going to be over till the fat lady sings, and I haven't heard Oprah hit the high note in forever. Then in the second spot, Cooper Webb, still the points leader. I'm sure he's not happy being the runner-up, but regardless, a good points night when it could have been a disaster. Laying in the first turn, AP carpet bombed half the field. Unintentionally, of course, but good for Coop to get back in it and get a second. I feel like that was a really good track for him with all the ruts and how technical it was. So I can only imagine he's not too happy that he wasn't able to capitalize on the conditions with a win. But on a night when things don't go perfect, if you can still lock down a second place, you're in a good spot. Third for Kickstart Kenny, I was really impressed and surprised. I thought that shoulder was hanging on by a thread. I didn't think he would last near as long, but he really hung in there and still landed on the box. You know that thing was hurting, especially in that latter half of the main event. And kind of like two Jews, a little bit of a bummer that his early season form has kind of worn off and he's kind of fallen out of this championship fight, but he's been working through injuries. He had that lapper situation in Tampa, and either way, I feel like it's been a bit of a revelation series for Kenny. He's been a lot better than I expected. I've said it a lot of times in my video. I was super wrong about him. I slept on him, and he's been really good this year. Quiet fourth for Malcolm Stewart, and then a top five, Joey Savacci. I feel like that's his breakout ride of the year. He was good in qualifying, good all day, so awesome job, Versace Savacci. Sixth for J. Coop from way back, a quiet seventh for Ferrandis. I've hardly noticed him all year, but he's been right there in that 7 to 10 range about every weekend for the Tucson Honda team. And then eighth for Aaron Plessinger, what could have been great heat race, sauced up Cooper Webb, made it look easy. I thought he was the guy going into that main event, but he overcooked it a little bit headed into the first turn and ran into everybody.
And when I recorded this video, I had only watched the race on my phone while driving down the road, but upon reviewing the replay, AP definitely had some assistance from McElrath. It happens.
And unfortunately took himself down, so I know he's bummed on it, but either way, he's had a really good streak of results as of late, and I don't see it ending anytime soon just because of a little bump in the road in Philly. I think he may even be a favorite in East Rutherford because looking at the forecast 6 days ahead of time, we could see some more rain. Shocker, I know. But we kind of have an under-the-radar, huge battle for fourth in the points shaping up with Malcolm Stewart just taking over it in Philly. Justin Cooper in fifth, 1 point behind. And then after an off night in Philly, Aaron Plessinger is 20 points behind Malcolm Stewart. And then also a bad night for Justin Barcia in 14th, what could have been for him. I thought he was about to maybe take off with it and get the win, but he has 23 points behind Malcolm Stewart and just 3 behind Aaron Plessinger. So 4 of those guys all within 23 points for fourth in the standings. And I think fourth is probably the first position where there's no bonuses or monetary gain, but these guys are out there for pride. Racers race. They want to do as good as they can. No choice. Gotta give a shout out to the Betas. 9th for Benny Bloss, 11th for Mitch Oldenburg. They've been in it all season long, and I feel like they've really been coming on strong mid to late season, especially Benny Bloss. just got re-signed by the beta squad. And I think this is a few top 10s in a row for the Giraffe, so great effort from both. And then top 10 for Officer Hill. I feel like the heat's died down a little bit from that preseason hype, but either way, he's still been in it all season, putting in top 10 rides, being there week in, week out, and it's just been cool to even see the flashes of brilliance that we've seen from Justin Hill this year. When the dude's on, he's one of the most fun people in the world to watch on a dirt bike, and I'm just stoked we've gotten to see it a few times this year. And then last but not least, who are my picks for these championships? I'm going to keep it simple. 250 West, I'm going Hayden Deegan. I think he hangs on. 250 East, I got to go Hammaker. I got a good feeling about it. It's really the year of Seth Hammaker to break out, and I think he's going to seal the deal. And then with the 450s, I've been saying it all year, but I've got Cooper Webb. The dude is way too good down the stretch, and you know he's not going to just fold mentally, so I think Cooper Webb gets it done. But that's all I got for y'all today. Let me know in the comments what you think of my takes, if you agree, if you disagree, if you think I'm cooked, if you want to throw some shade. I don't care. All the above is in the contract, and we're here for it. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. Catch y'all next time.